The next well information table that we need to fill out is the tubing table. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll notice that the details of the tubing table have already been completed, and that is because, for the sake of time, we wanted to show you how it rendered in the Wellbore diagram without take the time to go through the process of completing this. It works much the same as the casing well information table, in that it begins with a tubing run, and then you can fill in tubing details or import your individual tallies of your tubing in the tubing tally section, and then update the tubing tally to your tubing detail. Once that's complete, you will get a string of tubing to render in your Wellbore diagram. You'll notice that the sucker rod details are also included within the tubing table. They're very much related to that, and so this section has already been completed as well. If you wanted to do this manually, you just simply click on the plus sign, fill in the appropriate boxes in the pop-up window in order to complete each record. Once you complete the main sucker rod pump record, you can complete the sucker rod pump detail and the string details, as you can see them listed below. But keep in mind that just as the casing table and the tubing tables have their parent-child relationships, the sucker rod pump run also has parent-child relationships as well. So the sucker rod pump detail and the sucker rod string records are all related to the sucker rod pump 1. And so you want to highlight this record before you click the green plus sign to enter your sucker rod details. Well, how does this look in the Wellbore diagram? Well, I'll click on that and show you. And you'll see that within your Wellbore diagram now we have a string of tubing with a string of sucker rods contained within that. The pump details don't render in the Wellbore diagram at this point in time due to some transitional software changes that we're updating right now. Okay, the next table is the perforations table. And as you perforate your well, you want to make sure that this data is actually input into Total Asset Manager. This can be done manually by clicking on the plus sign and then filling in the pertinent details regarding the perforation. You'll notice that there's a lot of information here, and it can be a little bit tedious at times to fill all of that out, but it's an important record to have. There's also an easier way of doing this, and that is to actually import your perforation detail. And so I'm going to go up and I'm going to click on the import perforation data button. I'm going to browse to a import template that we have and can provide to our client companies for the collection of perforation data. Once I highlight that, I'm going to click OK, and then simply click on Import and click on OK, and now I've imported the data from my perforation upload sheet. If I were to look at my Wellbore diagram now, you'll see that it has added my perforations, appropriate intervals, drawn those in the Wellbore diagram. We can also do that with surveys. There's a lot of information that's actually quite tedious to enter it by hand. Some people prefer to do it by hand just because they like to know exactly where they're at as they're drilling their wells. A simpler way to do it is to fill out the import sheet or have your directional drilling company do that for you, and then browse to that upload sheet, select it, click on Open, and then just import that data as well. And you'll notice that it imported a limited amount of data for our survey data. And so if we were to view that in the Wellbore diagram, it's not visible from the main Wellbore diagram or the other transpose that we have, but it is visible on the third click, and this will give you your three-dimensional survey data view. The final table I want to mention is your failure table, and this is extremely important. We're not going to spend any time filling this table out, but the record, or having a record of your failure data, is very important, and Total Asset Manager DW gives you that opportunity to enter this failure data. Everything from the date of the failure, the type of failure it is, whether it's a casing leak, a tubing leak, rod parts, a pump failure, and then you can also document its location and the description of the failure. You can break it down by grade and size of your tubing, as well as the cause and other corrective actions. And then the failure depth, which also is very important. This failure data can be retrieved from Total Asset Manager. Analytics can be performed on it, and you can gain a lot of business intelligence that can benefit your operations in order to fix problems that are resulting in failures. For example, if you have a curved pipe through a certain section and your rods continually are wearing, and you find from your failure data table that you don't have rod guides through that section of tubing, you may want to add those to the rods at a later time. So at this point in time, this concludes our section on the Wellbore diagram. In the next section, we'll be discussing how to view and read various reports that are available to you in Total Asset Manager.